She's not to quote Puff Daddy.
Yeah, no, leave it to Puff Daddy. He always says, you know, you have to be crazy.
I'm Nalie and welcome to the Nalie Show, where I help you beat your battles and be the best version of you. What does being free mean to you? I discovered freedom when I was first diagnosed with cancer. Well, despite being sick and being forced to do treatments, details, I was free to do whatever I wanted, when I wanted, for several reasons. One, I was no longer working on my full-time job. Two, I stopped caring about those little stupid things that used to bother me. And three, I started doing the things that I love to do, like blogging and making these videos and spending a lot of time with my friends and family. But I want to prove to you that you don't have to wait for an illness to find freedom and start living life to the fullest. Which is why today I am chatting with Alexandra Villarraoel Abrego, best-selling author, international speaker, certified life coach, and CEO of AVA Enterprises. And would you believe me if I told you she's only 27 years old? She's managed to build a life of freedom, love, and peace of mind. How? Well, stick around because she's coming over and we're gonna give you 5 tips to live a life of freedom. She's definitely my inspiration when it comes to business and career, so I can't wait to pick her brain a little. We'll see you soon. What would you like to drink, Miss Alex?
I would like to have some wine, please.
So we're here to talk about freedom, and it's awesome because, again, like, it's amazing that I could call you and then, for one, film the Nalie Show in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and you're like, sure, I'll be there in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. That's what freedom means to me. What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom is to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and how you want. That's really what freedom is. I think that unfortunately a lot of people in the world, they think that they are free simply because they're not like in prison, or in a country where there's a war or something. But most people out there are not free, and I've been there. You know, I know what that is. I've been in a place of my life where, you know, you work at a 9 to 5 and you have to ask to go to the washroom, and you know, you have to like wait desperately for Friday to arrive, and you hate Mondays. So it's a nice thing to see the difference between the two, and also to know that it's possible, because back then, when I was not living a life of freedom, I did not know if it was possible. I often heard stories about people living that way, but what was around me, my reality, was definitely not that. And
so what was your reality when you were not living a life of freedom?
For me, I was born here in Montreal in an immigrant family. I was raised by a single mom and lived with my grandparents and her in a little townhouse. And I saw my mom get up every morning at 5 a.m., go to work at 6. She would leave home at 6. Get back home at 6 p.m. and she would do that from Monday to Friday. So I grew up thinking that that's normal. That's gonna be me one day. That's just the way life is. When I was 18 years old, I decided to move out of my parents' house, and now that I look back, I realize how it was me seeking freedom. I realized that since I was very young, I was wanting more freedom. So I moved in with a friend of mine. We found an apartment. We moved in. The first year living in that apartment, we were living the life. We thought we really had it all, you know? Back then, it was 2008. The song from Kanye West had come out, Welcome to the Good Life.
Oh, welcome to the good life.
Exactly. We spent an entire night painting on our living room wall, which we painted in red. We painted Welcome to the Good Life. Like, we found little letters that we bought, and like, it was 4 in the morning when we finished, and we were so proud. And then under that, we put our big 50-inch screen TV, and our furniture was all like black leather. But the problem with that is that it was just like a facade. Because we were 18, we said, okay, well, we don't have any money for the furniture, so let's get credit cards. You know, back when you're that age, no one tells you what an interest rate is. So I opened like 5 credit cards, all at like 29.9% of interest rate. There I was, 18 years old, with about $20,000 in debt, thinking that I was living the good life. Of course, I had to find a stable job, so I went and worked at a telemarketing center. And I was working there from 7 to 3 every day. But after a year, I remember feeling like, okay, I'm doing the same things with the same people at the same places all the time. It's always the same thing. And I just felt like my life was turning in circles, and it had just been a year, right, that was happening. But then what happened was that about 2 weeks after, I was in the same bus that I would have to take every morning to go to that job that I really hated at that point. It had been a year. I would have to wake up every morning at 4 a.m., take the first bus at 5:23 a.m. and I had to take 3 buses, 3 stops, you know. I got on the bus and I was sitting there and I was looking at the people around me, and it had already been a year that I would see them there. I didn't know who they were, but I recognized their faces, you know, and I knew where they would get up and what stuff they would come in, and they all looked so tired. I just remember noticing how tired, exhausted, and just not passionate about life they looked. And I remember for a moment I was starting to feel bad for them. I was like, oh, it must really suck to be them, you know, poor them. And then I said, well, wait a minute, I'm also here.
You're right there.
I'm also here every morning. So I probably have that, and I'm tired, you know, so I probably have that same look on my face. So at that moment I started to think, okay, well, I guess this is what life is, and this is what my life will be forever. Maybe I just like awakened to the truth of life that all adults in this world, one day they kind of like wake up to. And you know, all the things of like Disney World and you can live your dreams. Maybe that's all, you know, I'm not gonna say a bad word, but it's, like, it's all like not true. Something like lit up in me at that moment in that bus. I got out at the next stop. I crossed the street because I didn't have money for a taxi. I crossed the street, waited for the next bus on the other side. I went back home. I called my my job that day and I said that I was sick. The day after I did the same thing, I called and I said that I was sick, and then the third day I had to bring a note from the doctor. So I went to the doctor and I was literally sick. I wasn't just like feeling like not good, you know, emotionally, but I felt like sick physically. I felt tired. I remember I could sleep like 19 hours in a row and I would still be tired. So I went to the doctor and they said I had a depression. That was the best thing that happened to me, because at that point I stopped working for 9 months, and that's when I started writing my first book, Beyond Beauty.
So you were clinically diagnosed with depression that helped you stop working, and then you were 19 at that point. But instead of just staying at home and not doing anything about it, you decided to write your book.
I feel like it was because I had no other choice. I was like, I was so really literally exhausted with the life that I was living.
You're like 27. And you've accomplished so much. I already gave a little intro in the beginning of everything you've accomplished. But okay, we talk about freedom, but to reach what the success you've reached today at such a young age, clearly it did not happen overnight, and it wasn't just from, you know, that epiphany you had, okay, you're writing a book. But I remember, you know, having dinner with you and you told me that it took several days of you just staying in your pajamas, eating cereal all day, and like grinding. But then, you know, people could debate, is that really freedom? Because then here you are locking yourself up in your room, not like seeing anybody, and you're just working. How would you describe that balance? Do you have to make sacrifices?
I really think that freedom is, yes, you know, being able to choose what you want to do, where you want to do, with who you want to do, but that's exactly it. I mean, freedom is not having any responsibilities. To the contrary, I think that actually when you have freedom, you have a lot of responsibilities that come with it, you know, especially to maintain that freedom and everything. So I think that sacrifices are a big part of it.
How about today? Are you able to say you're where you want to be, or where you always dreamed to be when you were that 18 or 19-year-old girl?
I still cannot believe it. It's crazy to see, like, it really happened.
I'm really so proud. It did. This woman is amazing.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
It's true. It's
well, that's why I look up to you. You really accomplished things that people think is impossible. Alexandra's here to give you 5 tips to live a life of freedom. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Are they ready?
I don't know. Number 1.
Tip number 1 is to have emotional freedom. So what I mean by that is that you need to be able to have a certain sense of security already in your life. You have to be able to have your needs, first of all, fulfilled, which are the 4 human needs. It's the need for self-love, the need for security, the need for purpose, and the need for growth. You need to have those 4 needs fulfilled. Once you have those 4 needs fulfilled, the second step is going to be your desires. So the desires that you have. All of human desires, all of the dreams that we have, all of the goals that we have, they're all based or on our desire for love or on our desire for freedom. Now, a lot of people are going to go out there and chase their goals and want to achieve all the things that they want in their life when it comes to, let's say, freedom. But if their 4 human needs are not fulfilled, there's going to be something missing. And we often hear that, right, from people who achieve like amazing things, you know, on TV or things like that. They share stories of like, I achieved this and this, and I wasn't happy, and you know, I became like a an alcoholic or I fell into drugs, you know. And that's simply because they're working towards their desires when their basic needs are not even fulfilled. The base basically is to have that sense of freedom already inside of you, but mostly to have the 4 human needs fulfilled. So that's number 1.
Number 2.
So the number 2 is to start having an active income. This is very basic, but a lot of people don't understand this, especially nowadays with social media and everything. Everyone out there is trying to make it. Everyone out there wants like the money and the fancy cars and the private jets and everything. But the problem with that is that people don't understand that in order to get to the 3rd step, which I'm going to talk in a few moments, and then the 4th step, you need to have an active income. Active income means that you basically exchange your time for money. You know, if you're born in a very wealthy family or if you win the lottery, you can exactly. You can skip this step. You can skip this step. But if you're part of the regular people, right, like all of us, then you need to have a base of active income, and that's going to also create the sense of security. Yes. You know, I remember at some point in 2011, I got fired from that telemarketing job that I had because I wasn't going enough. When they fired me, I was like, whatever, I don't care, you know, I'm gonna work on my dreams and I'm gonna make it happen. But the next few months after were so difficult because I was lacking so much security. I was having anxiety. I didn't know what was gonna happen, you know, I didn't know how I was gonna pay the bills.
And the thing is, it's okay if you have that job if you know the bigger picture.
Exactly.
The problem is if you settle at that job and thinking, I'm just gonna do this because this is life, I'm gonna work at this miserable job. No, if you have that job, of course maybe you don't really like it for now, but you're doing it because there's a purpose.
There's a purpose, yes. Step number 3 is when it comes to the income that you get from that job, that active income. Well, you can't just let it sit there or spend it like I was doing when I was 18 on like popping bottles on the club, right? Exactly. Welcome to the good life. So what you have to do is you have to save and invest. So don't just save for saving. I often hear people when it comes to finances, they give the tip of, oh, in order to be wealthy, you need to save. That is so not true because money loses value with time. We've seen it over and over again. So if you spend your entire life saving, in 50 years that money is going to devalue, right? So it's a waste of your money and of your time. And nowadays I think it's easier than ever before to actually take something that you love and to turn it into a freedom lifestyle. By doing that, you're basically fulfilling your 2 desires, which is love and freedom. So why not combine both? So my advice for people when it comes to freedom is to take basically your active income, to save it, yes, but then to take what you save and invest it in what you love in order to create freedom. And then it's going to take us to the next step.
And this is the 4th step?
The 4th step, yes.
Let's go, because you're on a roll. 4.
The 4th step is to start creating passive income. And there's a limited amount of hours that we have every day. When I was first starting, I remember I was charging like $250 an hour. And at the time I was like, man, I am like, I am balling. But no, because there's a limited amount of hours. Yes, you're working for yourself, but it doesn't mean that you're free. It doesn't mean that you have created. And the thing also with entrepreneurs is that they don't understand that you have to know what lifestyle you want, and then you basically adjust the business that you have. You don't adjust your lifestyle because of your business. You know what I mean? Passive income is basically to create anything that you create once, okay? So something that you love, a passion of yours or whatever. If I give an example of mine, one of the first things that I did was to create a program that was called You Got the Power, okay? It was an audio learning program. I released it in 2011. I created it once. It took me about maybe 13 hours to create it. But that 13 hours up to today, I'm still selling that program every single day. So that 13 hours that I invested back in 2011 still is making money today. You know, the best things are to wake up in the morning and you see all the money that you made while you were sleeping. So all of that is really possible, but you just need to go through the steps and then get to the passive income, create that income. And then there's a 5th step though, because it doesn't end there. I feel like you should be talking and I'm just gonna be like taking notes, Alex, taking notes. I'll tell you everything, girl. I have this recorded. This is passive work for me too. Number 5, multiply your passive income. So don't just rely on one source of passive income. So let's say if you go on my website, alexandravillarraoel.com, I have multiple programs and courses online. I have programs that are, some of them are worth $30, others are worth $2,000. So there's different price ranges for everyone, and I've been able to basically multiply the passive income. So now I have that kind of income. I also have, of course, a YouTube income that we get paid, and there's also different sources of income that come from everywhere. So that's that's really the key to be able to create a life of freedom. I think that when it comes to having freedom in your life, it's inevitable in the society that we live in times that you need to have money. You know, freedom is not going to come to you if you don't have the money to be able to sustain that type of lifestyle. So you need to figure out how to make money while you're sleeping.
And that's what makes you able to come here on the Nalie Show and speak to all of you and give these tips openly and freely. So thank you so much, and I hope that helps you. That definitely helped me. Like I said, I wasn't joking. I'm gonna rewatch it and take down notes. It is time for the random question.
Random question.
I want to know, because you're only 27 now and you've accomplished so much, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Wow, that's a really nice question. That's the thing, I'm not gonna say the exact vision because I like to keep the mystery. I think mystery is very important. My goal is to basically have so much freedom where I get to a point that I can share all of the things that I know at very, very, very affordable prices, or even free, so that women who today are in places of the world where they don't even have the hope of watching this kind of video, you know, they don't even have access to that, so that they can have access to that. You know, they say that if you empower girls, everyone wins, you know.
Well, that's 10 years from now, but you're already on the right path. You do it every day. You do it for me, if that makes any difference. I swear to God. We have a question for you. What does freedom mean to you? I would love to know that in the comment section below. If you would like to follow Alexandra, check out her channel, all the amazing things she does. If you want to purchase her book, I'm going to put all the information below here.
Thanks, girl.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it to anyone in need. If you want to watch my vlogs, they're up there. If you want to watch my old episodes, it's down there. Don't forget to subscribe. I release videos every Monday. Be patient, be kind to yourself,
be in love, and be free. The two desires. Thank you.
See you next week.
Just a bunch of crazy people.
Crazy people talking today.